All right, well, we have this match underway. Nikki with the break, making the two ball in the top right corner. This is the final, race to 9. All right, looks like I'm going to be joined by Mr. Mike Davis.
This is the first game here.
This is the first game.
He'll try to make this one. If he does, it looks like pretty automatic. The cue ball's coming back down table for the 6 anyway. I don't think he tried to make it then. I think he just tried to get the 5 down table. Because the cue ball ended up perfect first anyway. Just the 5. Found a little too far. Nathan looked pretty dialed in last match, so I expect a lot higher quality play from both players than their previous last one. Just roll his gaze top and a little bit of left. That's all he needs. Maybe not even left, so if you got 2 rails, bring it home. You could have hit it softer and went 1 rail with outside.
Nathan looks like he picked up his tempo just to keep that rhythm going.
But if somebody's feeling good, sometimes they start to play a little quicker and the game comes easier to them. There's nothing wrong with that. I think trying to force a rhythm like that isn't a good thing necessarily. But if you're playing well and feeling it, it's pretty good. previous matchup, they were really both struggling to make balls in the break as well. So apparently Nathan's figured something out, I think, towards the end to make you figure out how to rack them a little better on this table as well.
That 3-ball should fit between the 8 and the rail if he decides to go with that shot.
Yeah, it does look like the drone is so close, it's hard to, you know.
Moving somebody's way there. Just racing.
It's kind of natural too, eh? You can just play safe right on the flag. Roll the cue ball behind the 9, the 4 behind the 5. There's a lot of options there. I like that one especially for a young guy to get to the ball thin well. I think he left the edge of the 4 actually. But even if you do, chances are you don't leave any offensive shot because the 4 is on the rail. So that's probably the safest play. Very nice finesse there. Since he couldn't avoid it the 7 with the cue ball, he had to really play the 4 ball super precise to try to keep it behind the 5.
You gotta be on, bro.
Oh.
I could, yeah. I could, yeah. Oh, it wasn't working.
Now you're on.
I saw those ones moving, but
Yeah.
maybe not.
His was on, so it's gonna be
All right, I think we got my microphone working properly now. I'm no tech genius, in case anybody's wondering. I've been commentating for a minute here, just for myself, apparently.
my technical superiority.
He might have to go back and forth, like, and stay underneath this ball. Yeah, because between the 9 and the side pocket, and then you got to flirt with the 6 and 7 both if you try to get above it and play the 5 in the same corner. So I think he's just cutting it real thin, going back and forth underneath it. A little short. I think he had to kind of overcut that and cheat the pocket a little bit to get the cue ball enough velocity to come back and forth like that. Cue ball behind the 8 here. Looks pretty good. He was kicking excellent in a couple matches I've seen previously. So he was escaping from a lot of tough situations like this. Yep, another really good hit.
Second ball kind of picks up that other pocket.
Yeah, so now he's got to cut back and makes it a little tougher. I think you can bank this. Use a little inside English. So there's something about his technique that I want to point out, because I worked on this with a lot of players I've been teaching. One of my students calls it a final pause, and if you notice, like a lot of high-level amateurs tend to just stroke back and forth a little bit quickly and then just pull the trigger. And then a lot of pros, like Shane Van Boening is a great example of it, Mickey's doing it, before their final stroke, like they've taken a little bit of practice strokes, they've lined up, but they just take like an extra second to make sure they're 100% dialed in before the final stroke. They do that little pause there and really, really get locked in on what they're doing. And it gives your eyes an opportunity to like be 100% focused on the ball as well. Said if you watch, a lot of amateurs tend to not do that, but a lot of pros do, and I think it's a really good habit to get into.
It's almost like being fully committed to the shot.
Yeah, exactly. Being fully committed, and so mentally you are, and then like I said, giving your eyes that extra split second to be dialed in. If I try to stroke back and forth quickly, my eyes might not lock in on the contact point like they need to, but with that little extra pause there, he's got plenty of time to make sure he's 100% dialed in on the contact point. Pretty unfortunate. That's one of the worst things in pool, when you hit a good break. Cue ball was a little bit off center, but not bad at all, and then it gets kicked in. That's certainly one of the worst things in pool. He didn't have to play that, but in case anyone's wondering, it's just from the 4 to the 5 would have been really, really tough, right? But the 3's right near the 5, so the 3 can present that breakout. At the same time, with that being the case, I actually kind of would have preferred to go 1, 2, 3, and then break out the 5 and 8. And rather than have to worry about where the 5's going to end up after breakout, the 4 was hanging right in the pocket. So I would have liked to have left the 4 there and broke him out. We got a little wardrobe change going on. So he's just going all out to cut this. Great shot. That's the thing that some of these young pros do so well. Nathan, Monaim, Justin, and this guy, like they're all in their 20s still, I believe, and they all have phenomenal eyesight and just make these long, difficult shots look pretty easy. And this is smart. Like I said, whatever the case was, that he wasn't comfortable, he switched shirts, whether he was cold or something about the shirt, doesn't even matter, but his hair, whatever. No excuses, right? If anything feels a little off, fix it. Make sure you feel right before you pull the trigger. Good stroke on that ball. You just got to follow it 2 rails out to the center, about a straight top. Yeah, there was no side spin on that one, just straight top was all he needed. Some inside would have took him more towards the side pocket, but it wasn't needed on that shot. Excellent shot. And I didn't know if he could get around the 9, but obviously you saw that it was not easy to get around it. So just bump off the 9 on that correct side like you did, and that was definitely the right shot. I think the table's playing like a hair better now, just for less people being in the room. It's such a big factor, but like, heat and humidity and that type of thing. Like when a room gets crowded, like it did earlier, there was a little extra humidity, and just because it's later in the evening, like some people, there's still some spectators here, of course, but less than there were. So things are playing a little bit better. He's pretty fortunate if he just cuts this in the side. The 2's hanging, almost no way not to get position. Probably the cue ball is going to run into the 9. If it goes in between the 9 and 5, like that's maybe even better, but I wouldn't try hard to make that happen. So, see, I think that undercut was caused by trying to draw the ball and play a perfect position and not bump into something. Ideally, we don't want to bump into any balls if we don't have to, right? There's a randomness to it. Maybe you hit the 9 and come off the side and scratch or something, but in that case, the shot was difficult enough. He had to elevate a little and draw the ball that way. I think you just should have rolled it in. If it hits a 9, it hits it. Take your chances, especially with the 2 hanging. Somebody told me a good thing one time, but the difference between great amateurs but actual pros is the really high level amateurs figure out how to play perfect position, and the pros figure out when they don't have to. So they all know how to play essentially perfect shots and get great position, but sometimes it's not worth the risk, making the first ball a little bit more difficult. I think a lot of the Europeans, like Josh Filler's a phenomenal example of that. Like his cue ball isn't as precise as some of the other players, but he knows when it doesn't need to be and when it would potentially make it more difficult to make the initial shot. Yeah, it's a little careless. Got to get dialed back in here a little bit. As far as banks go, this doesn't look bad at all, though. He played the bank the way he was most comfortable, which I don't blame him. Banks are difficult enough, but if you're feeling good about it, top right English would have been the way to do it. Excellent shot there. Really nice position. Again, I don't mind this, like keeping a little bit of an angle, go back and forth, or you can go top inside and go 3 rails. You can go, low English and go back and forth, whichever. Looks like he didn't even go low, but he just used a touch of outside to kind of go back and forth. Yeah, he's definitely playing his game a little better than he did in the hot seat match.
I just had it open anyway.
I don't mind the bank. I actually kind of like the cut better than going low left English, coming back to the rail where he's standing.
We actually already have more stuff. Well, we had to cap here.
Excellent shot. So he did look at the bank just because, but I think he stop shot, maybe draw it a couple inches. See, that's one of those where walking around and look at the angle might have been important. I guess he didn't draw it too far, but almost, right? Great position here. I like going for the side, and if anything, go past it. Don't come up short. If you come up short on this ball, then your cue ball is going a little bit towards the 9 potentially. If you go past it, if you don't end up straight's perfect, right? But if not, if you're past straight, you can go all the way up to this end rail, and there's no obstructions at all. Versus having to go around the 9 like he's having to do now. That's absolutely not ideal. He made a really good shot, but he has to make another good shot. He's got a great stroke, so even if he's a hair out of line, he's got a lot of knowledge, ability to recover, and then just a phenomenal execution. So a lot of times when these guys are playing a little bit out of line, it doesn't bother him at all. If he can't cut this in, like if the 3's blocking the cut in the side, or if it doesn't go in the corner, I think you just, a simple safety, just roll it up and end up behind the 2 ball. There's a couple other safeties he could play, but that was one I was thinking about. I like that. It's a kind of common one pocket shot, actually. People usually don't think to play safe in a way that you're shooting the object ball off the other object ball like that, but kind of lined up good to create that angle. Oh, that's unfortunate if he left a little gap. Probably meant to draw it back just an inch or 2, get tighter on the 3. Still a little unfortunate, though, to leave that. Very nice shot here. It's hard to tell what he has. I think he's got a kick under it. Nothing can kick under it. Get the 1-up table here near the 2. Slide the cue ball across. You got the 3, 8, 7 all to get behind potentially. That's if he even has to kick. hit the one ball a little thinner was probably a little better in that particular instance, but he left a bank instead of a regular shot. But it looks like the bank comes with pretty natural position, though. Yeah, very nice. He's definitely made adjustments to how this table is playing compared to his match the first time against Mickey. He looks a lot more comfortable and figured the table out. It's really important. Yeah, great speed there. You just want to keep a little angle. You don't want to be straight in on the 4, just a little angle so you can get over to the 5. He probably wants a touch of angle on this one too, just because of being left-handed and the reach factor. A right-handed player wouldn't mind being more straight on the 5. So this one, maybe he drew it back far enough to reach. Okay, he's got an extension. Nice shot. I think I need to get one of those. I've been using a bridge my whole life when I can't reach the ball, which is pretty rare, so I don't worry about it too much, but the extension does seem considerably easier for a shot like that. So he's going to go past it, probably at the second rail, be straight in the side pocket. A little long. So cut it in softly into the side, because the cue ball is going to have a lot of speed. He's cutting the 7 pretty thin, so got to hit this fairly soft. Good speed there. So he's definitely made some adjustments for how this table's playing. And see, I like how he played that. He could have used inside English and got better on the 9, but it just wasn't worth adding a little bit of element of difficulty to the 8 to even get any better on the 9. The 9 was going to be good enough anyway. So that difference I was talking about, like where the really good players want to get perfect all the time because they can, and then some great players know that it's not necessarily worth getting perfect and just settle for a little bit of difficulty on the 9 ball so that they can practically guarantee making the 8. Cut this then and go back and forth. Yeah, he's using a little bit of left English, try to get past the middle table, past the 6 off that second rail, and he went way past the 6. So sometimes it's really a disadvantage, actually, especially playing this one-set finals rather than absolute true double elimination. But it's standard now to play one-set finals, it seems like. But the guy coming through the losers bracket gets to play more, gets to get really dialed in, while the other guy's kind of sitting around or talking to his buddies. I think Mickey was actually given a bit of a lesson, like helping somebody work on their game in between matches. So he didn't get the opportunity to get dialed in on his table the way Nathan did. I mean, he's a great player, though. He's making adjustments, you know, and he can cut balls in from anywhere if he's a touch out of line. I think that was a great position that he just played there, but... Yeah, he had just a little bit of angle, so he kind of had to settle for a long shot or spin like crazy with outside and stun it and try to go 2 rails, but settling for the long shot looks like the better play. Yeah, I could be wrong, but oh, yeah, it looks like he's got the perfect angle. If not, I think the 8-9 carom was potentially on as well. But if you can get where you don't have to bump the 9, then that's even better.
I like the way he played that, Mike, and where I think a lot of players would have went for the combination.
For sure, like when something's by the 9, like you got to take a look at the combination or carom anyway, because if there's not an easy opportunity to run out and the combo and carom are there, you know, it's good to recognize that. But if they're not lined up really, really easy for combos and caroms, then the top players are usually just going to play position for the run out. It's been a good match to watch. It's been really pretty high level pool again here, especially considering this table's tight. Yeah, so he can't win if Mickey's figure out how to rack the balls well and make balls pretty often on the break. And Nathan doesn't this set, then Nathan's a huge underdog. It's really hard to beat a top player if they get the first opportunity at the table on their break and yours. She's got a choice here. I think I like the outside. Again, he can go top right in between the 7 and 8, or he can go 3 rails around, either one. He didn't even put any spin. See, I would have, in that case, put a little spin to try to get a little closer to the 3, but the reason I like the 3 rails around was keeping an angle on the 3 anyway. It looked like a big window in between the 6 and the 8. Of course, you did risk hitting the 2 ball harder in the side pocket, so it made the 2 ball a little bit riskier. Just draw it straight back, probably to the rail and back out a little bit. Oh, he had a little more angle than I thought. that bad. Looks like just a touch short of where he wanted. Yeah, and because he was short, he chose to go 3 rails, got right back in line. It's actually much more fun to watch, to be honest with you, when people get a touch out of line and have to make those good shots to recover and get back in line.
That was a nice stroke.
Very nice, yeah. Great stroke, and figured out perfectly how much left English, how much speed for that one. That was really nice. So yeah, Nathan had that opportunity, like I said, to adjust to the speed of the table, but Mickey's just, he's a great player. He's played all over the place, played on different conditions enough times that he's going to figure things out pretty quickly.
See if he's been hitting slightly on the left side of that head ball.
So you think he's been cutting it a little bit more on purpose?
Just a little bit, yeah. I watched the first match between these two, and there was 3 to 4 racks where there were drop breaks.
Yeah, they had a bunch of them, like 3 in a row for each player, I believe, at one point. Like, that's really unusual in a standard 9-ball tournament with the one on the spot, rack your own. So his table is racking a little tough. He's taking quite a bit of time. Yeah, sometimes if the wing ball's not going in with a more direct hit, cutting it just a little bit will give it a little better chance for that wing ball to go in. Also, if a direct hit, you're making the wing ball, but the one is ending up on the end rail, as it sometimes does, then change it up a little bit, and that slight cut to it can help the one end up with a more straight in shot for you. He did cut it a little bit, just like you said, but unfortunately one ended up on the end rail. If the table's racking a little better, these guys get so good at figuring out, where to put their cue ball, where the one's going. They'll dial in their speed sometimes to hit almost exact speed every time to control where the one's going.
I don't think that one ball squeezes by that too.
No. He's looking at it like it goes.
Yeah, it's hard to say from our end.
Yeah, if it does just top or top left, it can go 2 rails around the 9, I believe. And I actually like hitting the 3 if possible. Oh, he cut the point. That's a little unfortunate, but probably it could have hit just a little softer then and allowed it to go forward just a little bit quicker, and it would have got around the 9. I think this is just
Put that cue ball behind the 5 here.
absolutely, yeah. Just all out for that. I'm not sure what he was trying to do, to be honest with you. If he was trying to even play it in the side and kind of as a 2-way shot, because he'd have shape on the 3. It didn't look like he was going all out to get behind the 5 ball. He would have had to hit a little softer. Might be able to cross bank this one, but probably the cue ball behind the 9 is the best shot. You got a chance to get the 3 and the 6 as blockers as well, so you've got 3 different potential ways to get behind something. So he didn't get behind anything. He didn't spin it enough to even, I don't think, even try to get behind the 9. I think he just focused on the 2 on the end rail and just figured get behind the 3 or the 6. But with a little bit more left spin, he could have had a third ball to potentially get behind. Well, the safe's not that easy. Giving yourself multiple possible ways to get safe is usually a good idea. And I think that's basically what he did there. I don't know that he got safe. It might have left a window, but he was just thinking you got the 8 ball if you stop a touch shorter than that, 6 ball to be behind potentially if you stop a little, go a little longer.
I think Nathan can see that corner of that too. Otherwise, he'd be going to the air.
Yeah, maybe not just a corner. I think he can see enough to make it. A little bit of a natural two-way element in this potentially, so I do that to this. Looks like he's using low left, try to bring the cue ball way up here. He's on the rail, but the position's pretty natural. Touch of right English, but a little bit firm. Touch of right English. He'll have good position. Both players seem to have lost focus just a little bit, but finally there's an easy enough shot that should be no problem to get started here. And usually once these guys get started, get the cue ball kind of good, they never get back out of line and just finish it. It's a touch straight. He's just got to draw it all the way back, but it's hard to, like, you'd like a little bit of extra angle so that the English can help you get down table. And yeah, I was afraid I was coming right back out the 5 potentially. So you can thin this off at either side. If you didn't have to use the bridge, thinning off the right side would be a little bit better. But because it's hard to reach, you might go really thin off the other side. And in this case, probably use extreme left and try to come around. Okay, he didn't use extreme left. He just trusted himself to hit it super, super thin. Came up just a tiny bit short. Apparently not. I thought he came up a little short and left a shot. I think, honestly, for most of the guys now that jump well, assuming he was far enough away to get over the 9 comfortably, which I think he was, but maybe he couldn't reach it being left-handed, but just jumping it, hitting that ball real full, trying to bank the 5 up table would have been the better shot. But he probably considered it because he jumps well. And probably the fact that he's left-handed, maybe he just couldn't reach it out there. Mickey's had success breaking from the other side. Nathan should certainly consider switching sides, like unless he really sees something in the tiny gaps in the rack that he just feels almost certain that the wing ball is going to fly in from that side. I know he prefers it, but okay, he is switching sides. Yeah, he prefers breaking from the other side maybe, but you just got to be good at both. So it's smart that he switched. He made the wing ball. A little bit of let the cue ball go. A little bit of luck there, not to scratch potentially. Very nice shot. I can't tell if the 7 goes by the 9, but the 3's in front of the pocket. 4's on the rail, but with the 3 in front of the pocket, it shouldn't be any problem getting to the 4. 4 kind of leads to the 5. So some left English to help spin this over to the rail. Yeah, you could really see the rotation on the ball there. He would probably like to come back off the rail about 6 or 8 inches to have an angle, but I think he's flat on the rail. He's got a tiny, tiny angle to get the cue ball back out a few inches here. Top maybe probably touch a right, go back and forth. If the 7 goes, like I believe he looked at it and it must go. Good shot. Got back off the rail, very nice. Great speed again. It was excellent. Yeah, I mean, these guys are both capable of running a rack out in like 2 minutes if they break well. So. I know Nathan and Reagan are running the Ultimate Pool League up there in Richmond. It's pretty cool that both him and I got involved in that. I've enjoyed running that league, and I think people have enjoyed playing in it. It's got a 30-second shot clock and a 30-minute match clock, so it keeps things moving pretty quickly. There were some guys from the Hampton Roads area in this tournament as well that are involved in Ultimate Pool League, so pretty cool to see that. But yeah, Nathan and Reagan, both really nice people, so I know if anyone in Richmond area is interested, see those guys and maybe join their league.
It's really cool to see the average just league player, evening player, take to that shot clock and really kind of, I'm not going to say accept the rules, but really embrace the whole concept behind Ultimate Pool.
Yeah, exactly. I think I've been saying this for a long, long time, that pool just should be on a shot clock. Professional pool especially, it just makes it a more, entertaining game for spectators. And if we want the game to grow, having it with the shot clock is certainly the way to make it better. But yeah, to watch, just your average league players that only play once or twice a week potentially, and they embrace the shot clock, it is really pretty cool. It adds a different element to it for certain. The first week or two, everybody was nervous. Everybody kind of rushed their shots too much, and since then they've learned to adapt pretty well. And it adds just different element, different pressure. Apparently this 9 doesn't go because he looked at it. If it was dead, he would have shot it already. And being that it's not, there's not a super easy safety. Maybe you can just really, really skim it. It looks like he's wanting up to hit it 100 miles an hour. Maybe he's trying to get some randomness. Oh, okay. He just did some big practice strokes to get loose, which that's absolutely fine. And then, slowed it right down. Yeah, it was just required a super thin hit. That was very, very difficult. And, you have to trust the table to roll perfectly. So even if you shoot the shot great, almost every table rolls off a hair when you hit it that soft. Excellent safety because he's really stuck frozen on the 9 right, thinking he cut off. Oh, if he didn't cut off this option here, then it wasn't quite as good as I thought. I thought he had to kick the other direction. Yeah, and that was great. Most people want to kick that with left English or running English because they're used to doing it. But the left English is going to make the cue ball spin up table towards where the 2 went a little bit. So if you don't kick it with that, especially if you use a touch of inside or maybe just straight top, that's when the cue ball comes back across more towards the 9-6 like it did. I think he's just trying to get behind the 4 ball. I believe he left his cuttable, the 5-8. Might be dead. If he doesn't like the cut, he could, if the 5-8's dead, he could bank it right in the 5 ball now. I can't tell if they're actually frozen or just close. When they're frozen, you can potentially throw the ball quite a bit. If it's just a little bit, aimed away from the pocket, you can certainly throw it in. If it's not makeable, then you probably just played for the angle to be able to go forward and bump it right now. But if it's makeable, then you just draw this ball, stun it over, and of course play the combos better. Be funny, you bumped them and they end up almost exactly the same. If it still doesn't go, that's pretty bad luck. Again, I said if it's close, sometimes people would be surprised how far these balls will throw. So he's playing safe, it looks like. Oh, no, okay. He just had to cut it to make it so it didn't go up and back. He had to hit it opposite-handed. Wow. That was a phenomenal shot. It's so hard to hit balls thin from way down table. Like, I like that safety kind of a lot when you have that same angle, but your cue ball is much closer to the 5 to start with. My eyesight and my stroke don't allow me to hit them that thin from 90 feet away anymore. That was excellent. He might have to, play a similar shot, but don't even try to hit it as perfectly thin because it's so hard to do, and focus on bringing the 5 over to the rail and the cue ball around to the same rail with the 9 in between. Yeah, getting that cue ball down near the 6. Pretty good size blocker with that 9 ball. So it looks like that's what he tried, and he just hit it too thick, so the 5 traveled down table too far. Anytime the object ball is close to another one like that, the safe's really easy. So if he's not feeling confident in the shot, yeah, then just getting behind the 9 should be pretty automatic. But if he's going to do that, he wants to really freeze it. If he feels good about the shot at all, don't give Mickey even a chance to kick and get lucky, because he does kick well. So I think he's probably trying to go 3 rails behind us. Usually that gives you the best opportunity to separate the balls and get some distance between and get lucky.
I'm sitting here looking at the shot. I don't see 3 rails. Your eyes are, I see 2.
Well, now it looks like he's going 1 at it instead. I like kicking, past the corner by just a little bit, just barely, and going 3 rails behind it. That worked out pretty well. You really can't ask for much better off a kick shot, and it created a lot of distance between the balls. A lot of distance to the 5 and a lot of distance to the pocket as well. It was actually a really good stroke. So this table is just a 1/4 inch tighter. Like, that probably would have went on another diamond.
That pocket, I've noticed, has been the nemesis of the table. Like, the last time they played that pocket, and in Justin's match, that pocket seemed to hold up balls.
You're right. I'm not sure why that's ever the case, but occasionally, one of the corners does play just a little bit tighter than some of the other ones.
And it could be just that's the way they were shooting at it, coincidence, with putting English on it and stuff like that.
It could be. It could be just coincidence. They've missed more balls in that pocket than another one, but I don't think so necessarily. I know, so before the really big match between Oscar Dominguez and Guama at Brass Tap, they have a really tight table there, 4-inch pockets, but so I don't know if it's, who put the, table together, what happened exactly, but some of the pockets were just, like 4.1, some were 3.9 inches.
Somewhere to go? At least I kick decent. It's a very good cue. Where are you shooting with? It's the cue. It's all the cue.
So Mickey says the cue that makes him kick so well. He does have his own line of cues now. They look really nice. I know he's got some for sale. If anybody's interested, I'm sure he'll be happy to talk about that afterwards. Hope we didn't jinx him. He said himself how good he kicks, and I've been talking about it. He has been kicking excellent. He's hitting everything. He's getting good results off of most of them. And this one, I think he got a somewhat legit chance to kick it right in. Commentator's jinx. Or commentator's curse, right? Is that what they call it?
I know you're about to. That's why it's funny.
Not bad. He's probably a touch thinner than he wants to be on this shot, but not bad. Looking to see if the 5 goes in the side well. If it does, that might be the shot to play. That's what that's supposed to be. I think that was, he was maybe just a hair straight on the 3. Kind of stunned too much. Didn't get down table quite well enough for the 4. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like, Nathan was playing really solid and just a couple little mistakes here and there, but that one I think was just a touch of carelessness where he just didn't really focus on shape on the 4 enough. And of course he got shape on the 4, but being a little bit out of line, sometimes instead of recovering, you get a little further and further out of line until you really make a mistake. One rail with left English. Yeah, a lot of rotation on that ball. Excellent shot. He wants to keep a tiny angle. Got a little straighter than he wanted. No big deal. So again, that little bit out of line turned into potentially a little more out of line, it looks like. So he's got to make a decent shot here. And I can't say for sure, but I think the ball skidded just a little bit. That happens a little more, when the balls get played on more and more throughout the day, they get maybe a little stickier, but also, when you have to hit the ball softer, that's when they're a little bit more likely to skid.
Great speed, as long as he's not hooked.
Nah, I think he's just fine. A little close. Had to sweat it for a second there. So, 7-5 now. What I was talking about with the speed, the way he's breaking in with that tiny cut, so it's making the one ball go more across to the side rail quicker, but he's hitting it just a tiny bit too hard, and the one's going 2 rails up towards the end rail a little too much. If you hit that just a little bit softer, he'd be straight in on the one right now. I learned that break from Mika Eminen a long time ago. Rest in peace, Mika. He was a phenomenal player. He won a lot of tournaments in a bunch of different countries, but he ran 5 racks in a row on me in Japan one time doing that exact same break, letting the cue ball go to the side rail, and the one bounced across and stopped on that same side rail, but it never went all the way up table because he hit it just a little softer than what Mickey's doing right now. Nice shot. I think he's kept just a little angle, low right, probably, exactly just before the side. Keep a little angle again, so you can just go 1 rail and up for the 8. That's why the break is so important. If, guys at this level, like, when they have difficult runouts, of course they'll make a mistake here and there, but if they break well, get a pretty easy run out. They just finish the game like 97% of the time.
Mickey with that win. Mickey is on the hill.
Yeah, 8-5. It's been a really good match. When Nathan switched sides back to the side that he had very little success on, so he must have saw something in the rack, but I mean, occasionally it's like what you're seeing is playing tricks on you because the ball's been going in from the other side. Let me bring the cue ball way up table here. Yeah, exactly. Use the 8 to slow the 1 down, so it basically stopped where it was. You got the 2, 3, and 5 to get behind. But you might have left a tiny gap in between. Yeah, I mean, you got to look at the carom just in case. And a little bit of a, you're banking the 1 way up table, potentially a little bit of a get lucky 2-way shot. Again, this Mika, I remember him saying one time on a bank like that, he's like, oh, well, you're never going to not rattle it, right? So it's going to stay down table. I thought it was funny because just the confidence level that he had. He thought if he banks at this one, like Nathan just did, he was never going to not at least rattle the corner pocket and keep it up table. Even if he's hooked, this looks like pretty natural. He's been real consistent with that cue ball near the left rail, so that tiny bit of a cut break, like TJ mentioned. Definitely hit it more full that time. I wonder if that was planned or actually a slight miss hit. Got a lot of balls to get behind here, and I think you really you can get that cue ball behind the 5-9. So even without the 5-9, I think you still have 6-7 to potentially get behind there as well. But even better would have been if you rolled it a little further and got behind, maybe even really tight behind the 5 and 9, block the easier version of the kick. And that's why you want to make the kicks as difficult as possible, because all these good players today tend to usually kick well and kick with a direction and a speed to give themselves at least a pretty high chance of getting safe, just like Nathan did there. Sorry, I don't know why I said that was safe. That was straight down. Just a little jump. No big deal. Excellent shot. Nice shot again. That was just straight bottoming, which a lot of people want to put a little outside on that because they're used to cutting the ball with outside, but just straight bottom that time. It's like the same thing. I think he's got to cut it back a little, go one rail out to the center of the table. And just a touch of left English here. He went ahead and put a lot of left English and made sure to get all the way to the second rail. But what he was doing was probably guaranteeing he wasn't going at the side pocket. Congrats to Mickey. It was a pretty well played match. Both players played pretty high level this time. Table's tough, so everybody makes a few mistakes here and there, but I really enjoyed that.
Pleasure being on the mic.
Yep. Thanks,
Mike.
I appreciate it. Thank you for being here, and thanks to everyone for watching. Hope you had a good time. We'll see you in a couple weeks in Brass Tap in Raleigh. August 8th night's our next tournament. So if anyone wants to sign up, we've got probably about 30 spots left. So let us know. Thank you.